I got Tbull here. Today we're checking out the Yudachi. Of course, Yudachi kind of translates to Japanese destroyer gameplay. It doesn't really matter the ship. They all, at least the torpedo boat style ones, which this is one of them, all play relatively the same. All right, so this is a pretty dominating game, North domination mode. I think we get just shy of 4,000 XP, 3,700, something like that. But, this is going to be how I generally advocate playing the Japanese destroyers, which is going to be aggressive. All right, cross the Dorn. We got a sonar on there, I believe. It's like a York, so I assume it's got the sonar. We got a bagration radar. Got to be taking note of those consumables that can hurt us. Suzuya, also a major threat, right? If we get in range of the Suzuya, he can melt us. Quick reloading, low caliber guns. Very, very dangerous. So we're taking note of the threats. We also note there's 2 destroyers per side. That means each cap is likely to have, or, 2 of the caps are likely to have 1 destroyer. One of them is likely to not have any of them. So we're looking as we're deploying for signs of who's where, right? We don't really care if there's 3 battleships in front of us. We'll sail right through sea and nuke 2 of them and move on with our lives. But if there's radars, there's destroyers over here, well, then we need to be playing more defensively and trying to figure out how we can get rid of those. So Vanguard moving in here. Initially, I thought he was going to go all the way to the east. Looks like we got one guy on our team doing that. That's a horrible position to take in this map. There's no reason to go over there basically ever. So I wouldn't recommend deploying there. It was common early in the game, and then it went away for a long time. Now it's common again. Z23 spotted here. Looks like he's disengaging. Now, we need to understand he's probably launched some torpedoes in here, right? Zoning torpedoes. I'm broadside to the expected trajectory of him. I'm not convinced in my mind that he's launched at this point in time, but that's clearly a mistake. But we will get bailed out here. He's a very gentlemanly guy, and he did use widespread torpedoes, which are wildly inaccurate. The game's been out for about 4 years, and it still amazes me that anyone would use those torpedoes. But we always praise the naval gods every single time we encounter them in the wild. Gives us another second chance at life. So rather than get nuked there for horrible angling, rather we will live to fight another day, get the base. Now we got to decide very quickly, what do we do? You got to be thinking, okay, I'm going to go behind into our spawn, into B, capture the base there, or do I need to stick around here and help wrap this up? Well, the Vanguard's in position to push. Bismarck looked like he was disengaging towards B, so I was thinking, okay, well, maybe we can rush the Vanguard, take him out, and then move into B. We've captured the base here, but we want to make sure it's not going to be recaptured shortly thereafter. Bismarck is turning in here, though, and now I'm being concerned that he's going to push into this cap. So I'm going to try and get on his side as much as possible. We're going to see what he's up to. Need to be very careful here, because if we do get spotted, Bismarck, doesn't matter if he's got a secondary build or not, at this range, it's going to chew us up. So we're trying to get these torps down here. Launched one to the right of where he was going. Slam on the brakes, hit the smoke here. We don't want to be losing a lot of HP just to potentially hit this torpedo. If I can sink him, great. If not, it dodges him. He's forced to go towards B. He won't be able to come back over here, right? So either way, we're achieving our objective, but those torpedoes look vicious, and the vicious shot takes him out there with a Higon right off the bat. Bismarck loses basically most of the health. Vanguard, we did use the torpedo reload boost. Wanted to make sure he didn't push us, but it looks like he was maybe turning out, maybe not. So we put one more here defensively just to make sure. If he pushes, there's a pretty good shot that will take him out. He did shoot there, though, so we could have maybe held on to those torps. Smoke fire penalty. When the battleships shoot their guns, we'll start seeing them through the smoke at nearly their max range. But nevertheless, he does continue to turn out. So check the map. You'll see south of him, there's nothing of value there. We no longer care about him. Twist and track, however, suggesting something's to the right of him, and he's only about 7.5 kilometers away. So that means something unspotted is closer than him, right? And that's likely the Z. There's also another destroyer on the loose. Both of them were last kind of seen around B, but at that point in time, we got to say, okay, we can no longer just necessarily leave, because the minute we do, the destroyer can just move right on the base, flip it right back, right? Because you can see we're up 2 ships, but we're up more than 2 ships worth of points. That's because we're the only ones scoring in the background. So we'll take a shot at the Vanguard. Sure, we got the smoke between us and the destroyer. And now that it's running out, we're going to say, okay, we saw the torpedoes a little bit ago. Now, the German destroyers do tend to reload pretty quickly, so we do need to be aware of that. But here he is. We're spotting him again. Helena, oh, getting chased by an Akatsuki. You don't see this every day. Well, yeah, you probably do if you play this game enough. But this is kind of a foolish play. Japanese destroyer. Number one, trying to torp people that are sailing away from you, already difficult. But the fact, I get it, the light cruiser has no ideas there until right about now. He did shoot him a few times. Light cruiser dodges, Akatsuki putting the emphasis in the suicide when it comes to the suicide rush, and it's a thing of beauty. So that's one approach to the Japanese destroyers. Here's my approach. We're countering destroyers, capturing bases, and trying to see how we can affect the score from that perspective. So anyway, now that we've got the Vanguard disengaging, there's the Z-23 on the map. He's leaving. All right, well, whether or not they can come back here, move into this base or not, we got 3 ships. I mean, good God, the cruisers on the edge of the map, they're doing God knows what. But technically, there's a third of our team plus over here to defend the cap. We can maybe be more productive at this point in time, going over towards B, getting another cap, really running up the score, because we're closing in on the halfway point. We're not there yet, but if we start generating 2 caps to 0 for a while, we've already had 1 cap to 0 going for a third of the game. That becomes a hole that they can no longer dig out of. Even if they slaughter our team, the hole gets too big, and I can ensure I'm not going to get caught. We do have some radars and sonars and stuff, but as long as I'm not playing too recklessly, and getting snuck up on by those consumables, basically, then I can sail off into the sunset and win the game. So that's what we're trying to do here. Got the fellow destroyer moving into B. Great play. We're trying to get over there as quick as possible. We're going to go ahead and slam on this engine boost here as quick as we can. And we want, number one, to help contribute to capturing the bases. That wins games, which is what we're here to do. But it also contributes heavily to credits and XP, which we covet quite a bit, because times are tough. Need to get those credits, get those tier 8 ships unlocked and upgraded. So he does get reset there. I don't know if he probably got radared. I don't know, either that or they were blind firing him, which would have been pretty good shots. But the fact that it looked like there's 2 ships shooting at him, I believe it was probably Bagration's radar, if that ship still exists. All right, so we're going to attempt to sail through A, or B rather, at speed. We need to be careful if he gets reset or something happens to him. I don't want to be sailing out of the base and then have the capture time be extended, because then I'll miss out on that. We'll have to slam on the brakes, reverse back in. That's going to be a minute or 2 worth of scoring that we don't want to give up on. So we do get the base there. We're still going full speed. Great. Did have the Nagato moving into A last scene. And we got to be careful. We're looking at the map here. Okay, we got some cruisers. Are they moving through this channel? Are they going into A to support, or are they coming straight at me? Well, that was a definite possibility. I did have the smoke ready to go, but a little bit of a risky play because we didn't have complete information. But there we do spot both cruisers that we were afraid of, and we got some room to work with, right? Suzuki is about 10 kilometers away, whatever's behind him, same distance. So we go ahead and take some free shots there. Someone in the South Sea is spotting those guys. And we got a fire on the Suzuki. Does it stick? No, I think looks like he wisely damage cons and puts it out. But we did cycle the damage con. And that's a good instance. Usually when you're learning the game, people that have experience will tell you don't damage control a single fire. But when you're in a situation like that where he's behind a big island, he's not going to get shot likely for, let's say your damage control cycle or reloads every minute or so. I have no idea what it is, but if you're going to be behind cover for 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 50 seconds, go ahead and, use it, right? You don't want to take the damage for no reason. So we're coming over here trying to spot Suzuki. We do have one cruiser to the north kind of kiting in a defensive position, which is fine. They already did capture A, but my intent here, and note we have dangerous stuff here. We got 2 cruisers, which are very, they're designed to counter us, and they're very dangerous for us to let them be close. But essentially, if I can keep these guys over here and the Nagato, well, that's 3 ships. That's 60% of their team that's not pushing into B. And they got 2 other guys that are down south screwing around doing God knows what. So the longer we can kind of tie these guys up here and pin them in, the better from our perspective, right? Sure, we'd like to get A from a scoring perspective, and that would just make winning the game that much easier. But having the 2 bases to 1, the lead will continue to increase. And the fact that we had the 1 base to 0 for quite a long time, we got a lot of wiggle room. All right, so the Suzuya, he begins turning in. I'm thinking he might turn a little bit hard. in towards, B or towards the ship kiting to the north, whatever they're doing. But he kind of adjusts his line and then holds the line. Now these Yudachi torps, there's two setups. You can do longer range, slower speed torps or shorter range, high speed torps. We call them the screamer torps here. And by the time he sees these, they get whacked and he doesn't even have time. I assume his damage control was back there and he did get Higon there as well. But I assume the damage control was reloaded. I think the flood just killed him so quickly before he could activate the damage control. But either way, we would have shot him with the guns and killed him there without any questions asked. And now here's an interesting play, right? They've tied it up in ships in terms of count. And in fact, if you look at composition, they should actually be up by about 5 points if the scoring in the background had remained neutral the entire time. Let's say no caps were taken or each team simultaneously got 1 cap. The fact that they have a battleship, whereas we have an extra cruiser, that's, a little bit of a differential there, if I'm reading it correctly. Or maybe it's a 15-point difference, whatever it is. You can see the lead that we do in fact have is 100% due to the scoring with the caps that we've been generating. So they look like they're starting to realize the peril they're in and the predicament they're in. But they're pushing into B here. I wanted to get on A immediately and flip that, counter that play, right? If they get B while we flip A, we're basically just trading caps, no big deal. Cross the door and pushing in here. Once again, I believe this ship has German sonar. I don't know for a fact. I've never played it, but I believe it's a York reskin or whatever. So I got to be very careful. I don't want to get anywhere near him. He wasn't sure exactly where we were, though. We did have a set of torpedoes coming around the bend for him in an ambush. And, ooh, man, that looks pretty nasty. Cross the door and in trouble. And he's got 2-3 torps on him there. And boom, down he goes with another dev strike. Third dev strike of the game. And now we're just thinking, okay, well, we got the game under control, right? I mean, 3 ships to 3. Yeah, they're pushing B, sure, but I'm going to go ahead and flip A here. We got to start thinking about cracking. We don't need to go crazy yet, but we got all of our HP. So we got plenty of playmaking currency here. As long as they don't pull anything too crazy, well, we'll have a chance to get the crack, and that's all I'm going to say. So look for, this is kind of the opposite of what we saw on the C cap, right? Like, we shoved those guys, off of our C cap. We captured C, shoved the defenders off of it, and we were reasonably confident, okay, we can leave that cap unattended, and we'll continue to generate the income. Here, we attacked that cap, right? They captured A, and to be fair to the red team, they did attempt to clear the side, right? They sent 2 dangerous cruisers over here to clear the destroyer. That they just happened to catch torps, which is a low probability play. But if they dodge those torpedoes, maybe this looks a little bit different over here. We'd probably be trying to draw them off into Timbuktu, maybe kite them up to the north of the map and allow our team to see what they can do in the center of the map. But nevertheless, the fact that we did get those cruisers countered properly, well, then we're in a pretty good position, right? We can just trade the caps. If they want to get B, we'll go ahead and grab their cap. And they didn't really ever clear the side, right? So that's what you want to be thinking to yourself. Okay, we captured the base. Do I need to continue to hold the base, or can I go on with further scoring? Because you would always prefer to go on with further scoring, capture more bases, counter more destroyers. But if the situation doesn't allow you to do it, you got to kind of stick around and defend. So Vanguard here, he's on fire. We're trying to get the Kraken with him. He's low. Oh gosh, the Helena gets him there. Okay, fine. Well, we got the base. They're still struggling to get B. That's fine. So the odds of winning are near 100% at this point in time, barring gross malpractice on our part. Nagato does, of course, blow up the Helena there. That's fine. We're going to move in on either of these guys, right? We could maybe kill the Nagato. People always misjudge the Japanese destroyer guns. Yeah, they're slow, but outside of the Mutsuki and maybe a couple others, the guns do some damage, right? So we're not, the Nagato's losing health. He looks like he might be at least trying to use the will to rebuild with the destroyer partner there, but we want to get him off the board either way, right? He's the bigger threat potentially. Now they only got a minute left. But ideally, we'd like to get the destroyer anyways, and that just removes any chance of the Nagato healing himself, because we've got 2 low health guys here. We want to get the 5th kill, or maybe even a double. We'll see if we can, and we'll try and line up a double here. But, just the considerations we got. So, if we lose the Z23, go ahead and take a shot on the Gato. He's being burned. He's now out of range. If he has will to rebuild, it's not going to activate anymore. There's the Z once again, so we go ahead. He's focused on gunning down the battleship. We're focused on gunning down him. And with that shot, we actually will go ahead and blast him there. There's the Kraken, and this is a pretty good setup for a double. We only got 5 seconds left, though. I think if we got a few more seconds in the game, there may have been a double, maybe not. We'll find out in a different dimension. Anyway, that's a look at the Yudachi for you guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up, new to the channel. Consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming for you all the time. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you, and see y'all later. All right, peace.